I was on my little Instagram yesterday, having a little scroll, and whilst I was doing a little scroll, I got a little DM, you know? I got a little DM, and I was like, who's this sliding into my DMs, mate? Who's this? And I realised it was none other than Acrylicos Vallejo, the very company I called out quite recently, multiple times. I made a whole video about Vallejo and how they were ignoring their workers while they were on strike. I tagged them in multiple posts and multiple Instagram stories saying, well, they're still striking and we've still had no response from Acrylicos Vallejo until today. So I'm going to reveal the DM that they sent me, and then we're going to talk about some more news because I feel like this is just completely poorly timed. They didn't answer if they said I could publish it, but I'm a bit like, you did send it to me. You know I'm kind of like the press. I am actually officially a journalist. Just to let you know, it does say on my Twitter bio that I am a journalist, in case you forgot. If they didn't think I was a journalist, they wouldn't send me a message like this, okay? I'm not being funny, but what sort of person or company that's being called out than anything other than a journalist would send out a DM like this? Answer that one, liberals. Dear Mikey, we sincerely hope this message finds you well. We are reaching out to you regarding the video in which you mentioned Vallejo and the strike currently taking place at our facilities. We trust that you will receive this message with the same care and respect we are sending it. Given your interest in the important matter, we wanted to contact you directly to provide more details. And again, I totally appreciate them sending me a DM, telling me some more details. I was a little bit skeptical about the next few claims though. First of all, we would like to apologise for the delay in responding to the community, customers and distributors. Yeah, because they've been striking for over a month and they hadn't said anything. We'd all reached out, no answer. I know Goobertown had messaged the CEO, no response. We contacted on LinkedIn, no response. Tagged Vallejo in multiple posts, no response. But at least we're doing something, not like some other creators who are just posting about Vallejo and then people are calling them out for it and they're like, yeah, sorry, and then not deleting the post. Wild. Scabs, that's what we call those. Our immediate priority has been to negotiate with the employee representatives to end the strike. Unfortunately, at this time, we have not come to a final agreement and work is still being done to ensure all parties involved come to a beneficial settlement. Bearing in mind, this was yesterday morning at 10:30. This is when they sent a message. This is the worst time to send a message, and you'll see why soon. Secondly, we believe it is important to share the reality of our employees' economic and working conditions, as well as the steps the company is taking to enhance the well-being of all staff and ensure the company's long-term sustainability. Okay. So, no harassment policy in place. While we recognise that our parts of the workplace needed enhancement, obviously, as we mentioned, there was machines that literally falling to bits, there was holes in the roofs and no umbrella man, and there was no harassment policy. We also want to show that we're constantly working on improving our factories, and we do believe there are some matters that seem to have been lost in translation or simply just inaccurate claims that have been circulated. So here's where they start. This is their clapback, which should have been maybe a day after the papers came out, maybe before the papers came out, maybe when the videos came out, maybe when someone was tagged. No, they left it a month to respond. So I don't think they're like English speaking, but I do think taking over a month to send any sort of response is actually wild and just not really a good look, to be honest. I appreciate that they finally said something. I do respect them for it. It's obviously very corporate speak because it is an official statement, but it's also very, very late. Very late. Regarding the financial conditions of our employees, the average salary across all workers at Acrylicos Vallejo is currently well above the Spanish minimum wage, the SMI, with an average of 70% above the fixed salary baseline. Furthermore, all employees have historically earned and continue to earn above the collective agreement applicable to us. So they say that they actually pay more than minimum wage. A lot of the claims in the papers were saying that they were around minimum wage, but they haven't said like how much they're over, and that only the average salary is over minimum wage, which while is good, that is only the average of employee, you know? What about the less than average employee? Furthermore, all employees have historically earned collective agreement, specifically the general collective agreement for the chemical industry, which is negotiated by unions and employees to apply nationwide in Spain. So they're basically saying that they've all employees historically earned and continue to earn above the collective agreement, which is for the industry that they work for, which is the chemical industry, because they're making technically chemicals. So they're saying that they're earning more, okay? Earning more that's being claimed. On another note, false and misinformed reports claim that an hourly wage is $5. However, the actual fixed hourly wage at Acrylicos Vallejo is €16 across the workforce and above €12 for the lowest pay brackets. These figures are far above the stated amount and again exceed greatly above the SMI and the applicable agreement. I mean, I'm very interested to hear, like, I would have been very interested to hear this about this claim, because obviously, like, this was a big one that they were earning $5 a day. you know, or like hourly wage, sorry, they were earning $5 per hour, which is just so not, it's like nothing. But the thing is with it is they say, yeah, they get earning 16, but the thing is with it is they always say average, which doesn't mean everybody. So whilst they've kind of said an average of €16, yeah, is the CEO including himself? You know, is the CEO included in this, which will bump the price a lot? This all sounds very technical and technically, yeah, a little bit. You can't really claim this and claim this. One person is wrong. Anyway, furthermore, in 2024, under a newly negotiated agreement, employees have been benefited from a 10% salary increase for the entire workforce, and it's been agreed that there's an annual increase of 3% this year and the years 2025 and 2026. These figures demonstrate that the financial conditions are far from unfavourable. On the contrary, they are beneficial for the employees and exceed the standards set by regulation. The thing is with it, if this is correct, this sounds good, but this doesn't sound correct, because why would they make a claim that's wrong? You know, if a union makes a claim that's just wrong, just complete false, you know, complete lie, that looks bad on them. They've got no ground to stand on when they come to negotiations, because they're just lying. The thing is with it is all of these claims could be correct, but the problem is they waited a month, so I'm very skeptical. How can I not be? 3% is a pay cut reality for most given inflation. Yeah, for sure. Having any sort of pay rise is obviously good, but against inflation, and again, if they're earning nothing, what's 3% of this? Literally pennies. If they're so egregiously wrong, I would have expected this to be pointed out much earlier. Yeah. The things with it, chat, is, like, jokes aside, excluding myself or the YouTubers who try to contact them, they've been contacted by multiple papers, multiple press outlets for comment. And what happens is when they're asked for comment, they're shown what the other people are being said so they can respond. So if the union was going around being like, people are only paid $5 an hour, it's absolutely dog shit. And they're like, no, they're paid like $15 an hour. That would be the at least the one thing you come out and say. But even then, 3% isn't in line with inflation. What was the inflation rate in Spain at the minute? As of December 2024, Spain's inflation rate is 2.4%. If you really wanted to be critical, you're giving a pay rise of 0.6%. In my opinion, they were probably banking on the strike not really reaching broader world and had to prep their damage reduction. Yeah, but it doesn't take a month though. Could it be salaried pay versus pay against actual hours work? That's true, because a lot of the claims that from the union were the fact that they are paid quite low, but if they overwork and overperform, they might get a bonus. So if they have any time off work, they don't get that. Vallejo might be like, technically they're only paid to this and they're paid really well, but then in the actual work culture, it's like, well, you know you're paid this, but if you do this, you'll get a bonus. So maybe that's a good point, because great shout, matey. Regarding the condition of the production facilities, although the current factory machinery are in good condition and all necessary licenses are in place, over the past couple of years, Vallejo has seen a significant growth, which we have clearly outgrown our current facilities. We have kept invested to make sure our current facilities are up to standards, but even with that, there's always room for improvement. So they completely disregard. They've said that the current machinery is in good condition, even though the unions are saying that they are not. They've outgrown their current facilities, which is fine, but the problem is you can't let machines fucking fall to the floor, you know? You can't let machines fall to the floor and the factory fall to bits. So they're just coming out and just saying, essentially what we're seeing multiple times here is that the union is completely wrong, but they left it a month. Why, if they're completely wrong, why didn't you go into the factory, film the machines and just say, look, they're all working fine. There's no holes in the roof, and look at the pay rate. Look at the pays that we've got, you know? You could have done that within like a week. You're not doing much else. No in the building half the time. We made it our goal to remain in manufacturing in our hometown and secure local jobs in the area. We also pursue the objective of implementing measures to improve the daily work environment for our entire team. One of those being building a brand new factory, a project that started in early 2024 and is well on the way. This new facility will enhance employee well-being, increase production capacity, with expectations to be operational in 2025. I appreciate that. I do appreciate this, but you can't just say this and then not maintain the current factory where people are working unless you're going to give everyone the time off while they're waiting for the factory. Right, they got the licenses to use the machines when they were new, but they haven't said anything about the current. You can't just leave the current place, and you've kind of like self-reported. You've kind of self-reported because you've basically said the current place is fine, but it's not up to standard. Additionally, we've listened to our workers and have made and will continue making significant investments in the current factory this year to ensure proper maintenance with a new employee managing this area until our new factory is in place. See, that's the thing, that's already something that they've had to give up, right? This is them admitting that there's a problem. We've listened to the workers and we're going to be making significant investments in the current factory this year, which they weren't doing. That was the problem. To give them benefit of the doubt, could the reason for the delay in responding to you be because of difficulties in getting the message translated? So I've spoken to a couple of Spanish creators. They're like actually quite close to the place, and they've heard nothing either. There's been like no official response from Vallejo. There's not been nothing. The thing is with Vallejo, they could have made a response in Spanish to the Spanish papers, and there's been nothing. They've not said anything to anyone. They've kept their mouth shut. If they'd said something in Spanish, I could have Google translated it and got like a rough idea. Weird to say, we're listening to workers out of one side of their mouth and the workers are all lies in the other. There's a lot of like back and forth in this statement. So yeah, so they basically admitted that they've only just hired an employee to manage the factory, which is fun to bits. We also have a health and safety committee made up of 2 union representatives and 2 management representatives who meet regularly to improve or modify guidelines and recommend actions or repairs of certain elements. They are recommending things get changed. Although the committee works effectively, we've offered operational improvements so that any issues can be solved jointly by all of us. Additionally, an external occupational health and safety consultant advises the company in all matters related to safety of employees in the facilities. That's the thing. I appreciate that you are trying to say that there are recommendations of repairs being made, but they are not saying they're getting actioned on. They're getting recommended stuff. But how big is that pile of paperwork, that's not getting actioned? All that says is we chat about it and not fix it. Exactly. That's exactly how I read it. We chat about it, we put it on our to-do list, and the to-do list goes in the bin at the end of the day. Or it sits on a desk, or it sits in a box, but it's not getting actioned. If it said we are being offered recommended actions and they are being actioned, very different. But they're not saying that. They're just saying we know all the problems. So you know all the problems because you're being recommended by the Health and Safety Committee, but there's no action. We want to guarantee the long-term future of Carlos Vallejo, and I will honestly say this, everybody does. No one wants to see Vallejo go anywhere. What we want is the workers to be fairly compensated for the work that they put in, and we want them to be able to go to work without being in danger. That's all we're saying. And to build a company that all employees can be proud of, be part of. Okay, so you can pay them well, and you can make them have like a nice factory to work in. For this reason, we have been open to dialogue from the very beginning, seeking pathways to meet... You've been silent for a month. Seeking pathways and mutual agreement support. We do apologise we have not communicated this earlier to you, our users. On Thursday, December 5th, we presented a proposal to the Works Council that included a series of relevant salary and labour improvements on which all workers would benefit greatly. This proposal remains open for discussion during scheduled negotiating sessions. At least they've admitted they've made a mistake by not saying anything, Now I want you to have to hunt for the next 20 years to get the exact colour match for your 10,000 point army. That is a good point, chat, because I do use Vallejo Gory Red, and I've been holding off painting Space Marines, which is like, normally I've got all this shit to paint, but I really want to paint some Space Marines, and I'm like, I use Vallejo Gory Red for this. I can't paint them right now. But thankfully, I do have Reliquary Red by the Colour Forge, which is available in all stores in the UK. It's available in Europe. So just so you know, I do have the perfect red colour, which looks a little bit like Vallejo Gory Red, but it isn't Vallejo. Anyway, the thing is with it is they've apologised. They know they've fucked up, but they couldn't not apologise for being delayed. So I'm a bit like, okay, you've apologised, but you kind of had to. The company respects the rights of the employees to protest and remains in continuous contact with the union and the Works Council, making every effort to dialogue. We have even requested mediation for the labour authorities to be able to reach an agreement that benefits all parties in the near future. Our goal is to resume normal operations as soon as possible. Please don't hesitate to contact us for any additional concerns or queries. And then they left me on red. Do not hesitate to contact us. Leave me on red for a day. Anyway, I might get a response in a month if I'm lucky. That was Vallejo yesterday. So a lot of the statement, sadly, it's too little too late. If this had come out the day after everyone, and like because I waited, I think it was a week before I actually covered the story. I think it definitely wasn't straight away. I think I waited a week purely because whilst I do support strike action, I don't want people to think I'll just jump on it, be like just to cover the news to make money. Bearing in mind the first video, all of the ad revenue at the end of the month is being donated to the Workers Fund. I didn't want to jump on it too early because really I wanted a response from Vallejo, but I waited a whole week and I had nothing. I had no response, I had no answer, I had no emails back. I'd been ghosted, and so had the union pretty much. So I'm glad they finally said something, but again, they kind of left it too little, too late. They didn't say anything. They didn't add anything. They just kind of said, oh, actually, they're all liars. However, for some reason, they messaged me that, we're still working on it, but they are all liars. And obviously, we've got a health and safety committee that knows about all the problems with the factory. We haven't said we've worked on them. But then a few hours later, after I received that message, the union announced they'd won. So talk about poorly tied from Vallejo. We'll wait a whole month to respond to all the media outlets that are trying to cover the story who want to hear their side of the story. We'll leave them all on red. We'll finally respond, and then that day we'll announce that there's the union's won. So well done, CGT Catalonia Union. Let's fucking go. They're all liars, but we're giving them what they want to just be nice. Yeah, exactly. Here it says, for our solidarity friends in other countries, union victory at Krilikos Vallejo. After 26 days of partial indefinite strike, we have preliminary agreement with the company. A salary increase of 3,000 euros annually. Social benefits that includes 200 euros for the schooling of children up to 25 years old. Excellent. Didn't realize that was a fucking thing. 500 euros for each birth of a child. Let's go. Get those babies pumping. You know, that's what I say. 1.5 increase in social benefits for single parent families, new anti-harassment protocol, improvements in the workplace safety, and compliance with work inspection requirements regarding workplace safety. Let's go. This is what we call solidarity at its best. Mikey ended this strike faster than you can paint them all and use an express colour range. Without conflict, there are no victories. That's what people have to remember. There's a lot of scabs. There's a lot of people against my stance with the union, and that's what you have to remember. You know, I'm not going to say like it was a certain group of people, but you have to remember is that a union is there to protect you as a workforce. Okay, just because you personally were wrong done by in a job before doesn't mean that they're wrong for striking for better conditions, because it's not a them and us situation. It's not a I suffered so you have to suffer situation. You should have been part of a union too. Okay, that's how you get better pay rises. That's how you get better work conditions. That's how you get a harassment policy at work. So if you are harassed at work, you aren't punished for it, but for coming out for it or nothing being able to be done about it. That's what you've got to remember. It's not I suffered so you should suffer. It's I suffered, I hope no one else should suffer. That's called empathy. You should look it up. It so annoyed me. This is excellent news. This is so good. So yes, you can go out and buy Vallejo now. I presume that they're calling off the boycott because they've made such great progress, you know. But it took them 26 days of strike. Finally got a response from Vallejo, and then they decided to buckle, which is just so wild. Again, I think that's just to be like, oh, we're actually not that bad because actually they're all wrong, but you know, we'll do this for them now as well. I do feel like that's what their vibe was. It was kind of like, if we respond and say they're all liars, but then we'll give them a pay rise anyway, it's kind of like, yeah, we're not that bad, guys, you know. The thing is with it is like, come to the demands of the union who are asking for fair pay and nice working condition. I'm a bit like, that's the bare minimum, Vallejo. Well done. Okay, you've kicked the bar. Great job. You've walked over the bar. Maybe we could raise the bar, you know. And it looks like they have done a few of those things. And I'm not going to sit here and be like Vallejo's a terrible company, because I don't think they are. Okay, I think they made a misstep in their judgment of this new factory. I personally think, my own opinion now, I do think that they were trying to get this factory sorted, which is because obviously they want to expand, but they didn't want to keep the current factory going because they're going into the new one. But the downside with that is that if they're not keeping the factory up to scratch whilst the workers are still working there, that just creates a terrible working condition, and you can't just ignore the problems. You know, you can't ignore the problems of the current factory just because you've got a new one opening. That's obviously dumb. But also, having basic things like harassment policy are very important, that because it's a larger company, they just never had one in, which is understandable. These things happen, but if someone says you need one, you should sort it. And then the low pay, again, they're just like, they've been bought out by a private company. Of course they're going to have low pay. Private companies are mostly scum, all right? Just remember that. Just remember that bit. But you is a woke and communist. The thing is, chat, I'd rather be woke and communist and getting fair pay and getting a nice place to work. If you want to lick some boots, some CEO boots, by all means, okay? But don't complain when other people are getting paid better than you with better conditions. So great job to the CGT. Absolutely fucking smashed it. And big respect to Vallejo for finally buckling under very, very reasonable, very reasonable demands. So yeah, go out and buy your new Vallejo paints. You can buy your express paints, you can buy your basic material, and I can finally go back to using all of my gory red from the old range because they updated it. Thank God! I can finally paint my blood ravens again!